Tonight, we bring you a special investigative report that dives deep into the ultimate paradox of modern reality television. We are dissecting a fascinating, high-stakes collision between two completely different eras of fame. On one side, we have Roberts, the new generation phenomenon who just shattered voting records and seemingly holds the internet in the palm of his hand. On the other side stands Jennifer, a woman who famously lost that exact same competition decades ago, but went on to build an impenetrable media empire. The gap between viral victory and Jennifer's institutional power isn't just an interesting celebrity dynamic. It reveals a shocking truth about who actually controls the complex machinery of the modern music industry. In the high-stakes arena of modern reality television, 26 million votes is publicly celebrated as an absolute triumph. But behind the closed doors of major record labels, that unprecedented number is viewed as a massive, ticking liability. To fully comprehend the treacherous path laid out before the current champion, our investigation must first dissect the brutal reality of winning a televised competition in 2026. When Roberts secured his historic victory, the general public saw a young, talented artist achieving his ultimate dream on stage. However, market analysts and seasoned record executives saw a digital phenomenon that the traditional label system is notoriously ill-equipped to handle. 26 million votes does not merely award an artist a lucrative recording contract. It places them under a suffocating microscope of impossible, algorithm-driven expectations. In today's hyper-accelerated digital ecosystem, viral momentum possesses an incredibly short shelf life. While legacy artists of the past were afforded years of development to carefully craft their debut albums and naturally establish their public personas, Roberts is being forced to operate at a breakneck speed just to keep the digital algorithm fed and his massive audience continuously engaged. He is playing a high-stakes game of digital survival, where a single misstep, a PR blunder, or even a brief gap in content production can cost him his cultural relevance overnight. This overwhelming pressure to produce constant, immediate results highlights the fundamental flaw in the modern reality competition model. The so-called winner's contract frequently acts as a set of golden handcuffs, locking the newly crowned artist into a grueling schedule of promotional obligations that prioritize immediate financial capitalization over long-term, sustainable artistic growth. The label demands instant, viral success to capitalize on the television hype, essentially transforming the artist into a relentless content machine. But to truly grasp the profound danger of this modern contractual labyrinth, our report must look back at a historical anomaly who managed to bypass this exact trap entirely. It remains one of the most heavily debated television eliminations in broadcast history, a shocking exit that left audiences outraged, yet quietly handed one artist the most valuable asset in the entire entertainment industry: unconditional freedom. Back in 2004, the reality television ecosystem made a monumental miscalculation that permanently altered the landscape of pop culture. Jennifer was sent packing in 7th place, a moment that left millions of viewers completely stunned and seasoned judges speechless. However, industry veterans and entertainment lawyers will quickly tell you that her early, unexpected exit was the ultimate professional blessing in disguise. By losing the competition, she was completely freed from the restrictive, all-encompassing 360-degree pop contracts that legally bound the actual winners of that specific era. She successfully avoided the grueling Mal tour, the mandated pop album recording cycles, and the intense micromanagement of network executives. She didn't have to ask a reality television producer or a rigid record label for permission to pivot her career toward Hollywood cinema. That unencumbered, unprecedented freedom allowed her to secure her legendary, award-winning role in the musical film, proving that sometimes the absolute best thing the industry can say to a rising talent is no. Her highly publicized Rejection served as the foundation of an empire, allowing her to negotiate her own worth on her own terms from day one. She became an acclaimed actress, a powerhouse vocalist, and a global brand without the restrictive, often limiting label of competition winner weighing down her credibility. She transformed a massive public defeat into a strategic multi-million-dollar masterpiece, demonstrating that the coveted television trophy is often far less valuable than the corporate autonomy you retain by losing it. Just as she reached the absolute pinnacle of her early Hollywood success, a devastating personal crisis threatened to permanently derail everything she had built, but her response completely rewired her relationship with the American public. In 2008, the world watched as Jennifer faced a profound, highly publicized family tragedy of such extreme proportions that it dominated the global news cycle for weeks on end. For the vast majority of public figures, a trauma of this nature would understandably signal the definitive end of their professional life. The pressure to step away and permanently disappear from the relentless glare of the spotlight would simply be too much to bear. However, the investigative look into this dark period reveals a woman who exhibited a radical, breathtaking level of personal resilience. She refused to let her permanent legacy be framed solely by the narrative of her suffering. Instead of permanently retreating from the public eye, she eventually returned to the stage with a vocal depth and an emotional gravity that could only be forged through profound, unimaginable experience. This period was absolutely instrumental in building the deep, unbreakable, and fiercely loyal bond she now shares with her global in 2026. Public relations experts and media historians frequently cite her management of this crisis as a definitive example of authentic, grounded grace under pressure. She didn't seek to capitalize on the tragedy. Rather, she channeled her overwhelming experience into her artistry, which resonated on a cellular level with listeners who saw her not merely as an untouchable celebrity, but as a genuine survivor. This profound emotional connection is the bedrock of her modern-day influence. It is an institutional trust and of loyalty that modern artists like Roberts simply cannot manufacture with a viral social media post or a catchy, algorithm-friendly hook. The incoming generation of digital native stars often confuses fleeting internet notoriety with true industrial power, entirely misunderstanding the multi-billion-dollar fortress that legends have spent decades constructing. While the financial shift toward digital platforms and viral streaming metrics is absolutely undeniable in 2026, writing off Jennifer is a fundamental misunderstanding of how deeply entrenched institutional power operates in Hollywood. The modern audience frequently equates high streaming numbers and follow accounts with actual industry control, but operates in an entirely different corporate stratosphere. There is a massive, highly lucrative difference between renting your fame from a network and owning a media institution outright. Her undeniable power is permanently cemented by her prestigious EGOT status, having successfully secured an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony Award throughout her illustrious career. She isn't simply a singer waiting for a record label executive to approve a hit song budget. She is a heavyweight producer financing Broadway theatrical runs, funding independent film projects, and actively dictating the daily cultural conversation as the head of her own syndicated television network. She has successfully and systematically insulated herself against the fickle, volatile nature of pop culture algorithms by becoming the very institution that actively manufactures the culture. When a new artist like Roberts is fighting tooth and nail for premium placement on a popular streaming playlist, Jennifer is the top-tier executive deciding which up-and-coming artists are granted the national television exposure they desperately need to survive the year. She has transcended the vulnerable role of a contracted talent to become a formidable employer and an ultimate gatekeeper. It was aggressively marketed to the masses as a passing of the torch, but body language experts and media analysts witnessed a completely different broadcast, a televised territorial dispute disguised as a friendly daytime interview. The generational friction bubbling just beneath the surface of the music industry was put on full, unavoidable display when Roberts made his highly anticipated post-victory appearance on The Jennifer Show. To the casual daytime viewer sitting at home, it appeared to be a standard promotional segment, an industry veteran gracefully welcoming a talented newcomer to the fold. However, those trained to understand the unspoken language of television broadcasting saw a high-stakes psychological dance. Throughout the entire broadcast, there was a subtle but undeniable tug-of-war for absolute control of the narrative. Roberts represented the raw, uncontrollable, and highly lucrative energy of new media, frequently attempting to pivot the conversation toward his impressive digital metrics, his massive podcast reach, and his historic 26 million voters. Conversely, maintained the polished, tightly controlled, and unbothered grip of a traditional media mogul, expertly steering the dialogue back toward institutional milestones and classic show business dues. She dictated the commercial packing, she steered the line of questioning, and she subtly reminded everyone watching exactly who owned the stage they were sitting on. It was a visual representation of a much larger systemic shift, the reigning queen of daytime television, the viral usurper of the streaming charts. The encounter distinctly lacked the blind deference usually shown by new artists to established legends, signaling a bold new era where the incoming class refuses to simply bow to the old guard, setting the stage for a massive corporate Cold War. Just as the entertainment press was to declare a permanent ideological war between the new champion and the established mogul, a series of highly secure, closed-door meetings completely fractured the established narrative. In the heavily guarded, meticulously orchestrated world of celebrity public relations, absolute coincidences simply do not exist. Over the last month, private investigators and industry watchdogs have managed to track both Roberts and Jennifer to the exact same high-security, privately owned recording facility in Nashville, Tennessee. Accompanied by heavy private security details and utilizing strict non-disclosure blackout protocols to entirely avoid the paparazzi, these clandestine meetings have set the industry mill ablaze. What exactly is behind those soundproof corporate doors? Are these two powerhouses putting aside their generational differences to record a massive, chart-breaking musical collaboration explicitly designed to dominate both the internet and traditional terrestrial radio? Or, as several high-profile legal experts have quietly theorized to our investigative team, are these sessions actually intense, high-level corporate negotiations regarding brand integration and media buyouts? If this is indeed a business negotiation, it heavily suggests that conglomerate may be looking to absorb Roberts' viral digital network into her own massive production company, effectively buying out the competition before they pose a structural threat. The complete, deafening silence from both of their respective management teams has only exponentially fueled the public's fascination. Whatever the ultimate outcome of these clandestine meetings may be, they prove that the dynamic between the viral winner and the established legend is racing toward an inevitable climax that will permanently alter the landscape of the music industry. The professional journey of Roberts is only just beginning, and he possesses the undeniable raw talent, the historic voting record, and the viral momentum required to achieve incredible things in this business. But he is stepping into a highly fortified coliseum where Jennifer has already completely the history books. She proved definitively that the television trophy does not guarantee a lasting legacy, and that true, unshakable power comes from owning the infrastructure, not just performing on its stage. Roberts has decisively won the battle for the public's attention in 2026, but if he truly wants to survive the next 2 decades, he is going to have to figure out how to conquer an industry that Jennifer already owns.